Yun. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, to all of my students under CDC 123, Introduction to Multimedia Writing. It depends, no, kung kano saan nyo naginatanaw, but I hope that all of you are doing fine, all of you are safe from COVID-19, no, and from physical injuries and other harm na nakapalibot sa itong kalibutan karon. Anyway, moving forward, welcome to second semester CDC 123, Introduction to Multimedia Writing. Once again, I am your professor for this subject. You can call me Jerry or you can call me Kuya Jerry. So this is actually my first time, no? This is actually my first time to do a part-time na lecture and to teach under a uh, communication department, development communication department in particular in Davao del Sur State College. So last week, I was able to present to you the schedule of activities and the initial syllabus, no, that I personally created for this subject. However, I was told by the department na may syllabus din si Miss Cherry Corpin. I was able to scan it and may konting changes lang naman tayo sa schedule natin for this semester, but no big deal, not to worry. I will send the copy of the syllabus to you once I have done recreating the syllabus and once I've done editing the final syllabus for this subject. Anyway, we have very similar discussions. I have very similar discussions with the discussions that Ma'am Cherry is using, no, for the other section for Introduction to Multimedia Writing. Nag-differ lang siya sa mga activities nga mong ihatag. No worries yun kay tanan instructions from the copy of the references to the copy of your modules and other activities will be uploaded in our Facebook group. So again, welcome to second semester. Welcome to DSSC, Davao del Sur State College. This is your Professor Jerry Luis Urbana for CDC 123, Introduction to Multimedia Writing. So to begin, our Module 1, Lesson 1, objectives are the following. To understand multimedia definition, identify categories of multimedia, common applications of multimedia, and elements of multimedia. I know most of you here have already undergone your subjects, no, for Introduction to Development Communication last semester. So I assume that you have already prior knowledge about development communication, its principles, some of its attributes, and etc. etc. But for this semester, we will talk about multimedia writing, and we will relate multimedia writing to your future professional as future development communication practitioners. Before we start, this online lecture is actually intended for everyone. I know most of you here are actually working students, and some of you here are don't have access to a stable internet connection. That's why I have decided to send the copy of our virtual discussion, and hopefully in the future, no, I will still be able to conduct a live virtual discussion. At the same time, we'll be able to send it forward as well a copy of my virtual discussion for per lesson per module. Moving forward, let's start discussing the following. Let me minimize this muna kay dili makita. I'm here right side, ayon. Minimize natin konti. Oops. Again, I am asking for your understanding. Let us be more understanding towards each other since everyone is adjusting, not just the students, no, pati ato mga teachers, they're trying their best. I'm a witness, no, of the struggles of our teachers, no. Dili lang ang estudyante ang mga nag-struggle karon, pati pod ang mga maestra. Labi na tong mga tigulang na nato na mga professors, no, nagapaningkamot gihapon nga mahatag ma-deliver ang quality of education nga research sa atong mga estudyante under DSSC. So to begin, definition and categories of multimedia. What is multimedia? When we say multimedia, what comes to your mind when we talk about multimedia? So multimedia is the media that uses multiple forms of informative content and information processing, such as text, audio, graphics, print, animation, video, to inform or entertain the user. Diba? Makita man na ninyo na may naman tayo different na multimedia materials nga makita nato sa TV, no, makita nato sa radio, makita nato sa print, no. And in our subject, we will discover on how these multimedia materials are helpful, no, to the future, to your future practice as development communication practitioners. Categories of multimedia, there are two: linear and non-linear. To differentiate, what is the difference or what are the differences of linear and non-linear multimedia? When we say linear, it is a multimedia project that is identified. I mean, it is a multimedia project that is not interactive. At the same time, the user has no control over the content that is being showed to them. No? Example, movie, non-interactive lecture or demo. Kini, non-interactive lecture or demo because this is a live demo, and when we watch movie, dili mag-matter ang imong mga comments about the movie. It will not change the ending of the movie. It will not change the conflict of the movie, no? Kung maingon ta ay kapangit sa ending, gusto na ko magkadayon si Adan o si Eva, di ba? It will not affect the movie. Kaya naa naman na diha. Then that, ladies and gentlemen, is a linear multimedia. But on the other hand, when we say non-linear multimedia, it is a multimedia project that is interactive. Contrary to what linear multimedia is, it is interactive. When we say non-linear, it is interactive, and the users have control over the content that is being showed to them, such as games, courseware, and interactive na CD. When we say games, kining games, di ba, pag magdula ta og ML ba karon or unsa ba ang mga uso nga games karon, kita ang control, di ba? Kung gusto nato padaogon ang atong character, gusto nato padaogon ang ato ang dula sa atong NBK 2K15 ba karon, you have the control to win the game, di ba? Ikaw on control to actually change your future sa game. Diba? Unlike sa movie, di ba? No matter how you despise the movie, how you bash the movie because of its bad ending, it will not change anything. Diba? Sa games, you have the control, di ba? Phone ka, magdula ka ML, you have the control to change the output or the output, the victory or your loss, no, sa game na imong ginadula. Moving on. Of course, when we say multimedia, there are several applications of the latter, some of which are the following. So, creative industries, fine arts, and entertainment. Purposes ranging from fine arts to entertainment, to commercial art, to journalism, to media. Multimedia gani siya, di ba? It affects almost everything not almost everything, it affects everything. Such as from commercial, exciting presentations are used to grab and keep attention in advertising. No, makita ninyo sa mga TV, makita ninyo sa mga TV na commercials, makita ninyo sa mga TV nga advertisement, those are multimedia materials. Education. Multimedia is used to produce computer-based training courses, especially in this time of pandemic, where we are restricted to stay in the comforts of our own home, no, and at the same time to continue learning, to continue delivering the quality of education that the students under our university, under our college deserve. And next, engineering. Software engineers may use multimedia in computer simulations or anything from entertainment to training. Mathematical and scientific research, even sa research, multimedia is mainly used for modeling and simulation. No? Medicine, doctors can get trained by looking at virtual surgery, or they can simulate to how the human body is affected by diseases spread by viruses, kining COVID-19, di ba? Paunsa man ni na-discover ang vaccines. Multimedia is a factor. Multimedia is still a factor. Multimedia in public places, in hotels, railway stations, shopping malls, museums, and grocery stores, multimedia will become available at stand-alone terminals or kiosks to provide information and help. Diba? Pag magsakay tag bus sa terminal, unsa man atong mga makita. Diba? Nawi sa Digos na yung mga stand-alone na mga small na mga multimedia materials such as kana TV, di ba? Makita nato dira ang asa man ipadulong, di ba? Ating mga maps makita usahay sa mga terminals and bus terminals or van terminals nato. Those are example of multimedia materials, no? Example where we apply these multimedia materials into the realities of life. Anyway, after this lecture, no, if you have questions or if you have comments, if paspas ra ba, sir, paspas ra kaayo ka, murag dili na mo masabtan, dili mo catch, feel free to comment your reactions, comment your questions, so that we will be able to include all of them in our next meeting after this lecture. Next, elements of multimedia system. What are the elements of multimedia? Of course, they are as follows. Text. When we say text, it is the most basic element of multimedia. A good choice of words. Words na ginagamit, di ba? Words na ginagamit sa commercial. Words na ginagamit sa radio na advertisement, for example. Words na ginagamit sa branding, no, sa mga politiko. It is part, no, of multimedia as a system. Next is graphics, two-dimensional figure or illustration. It could be produced manually by drawing, by painting, carving, or by computer graphics technology. Audio, produced by vibration, as perceived by the sense of hearing. In multimedia, audio could come in the form of speech, sound effects, and also music score. Parehas akong gipakita sa inyo, gipapaminaw sa inyo the last meeting katong sample sa ato ang program ID. It is also a product of multimedia. It is actually an element of multimedia system. Animation, the illustration of motion created by the consecutive display of images of the static elements. Animation is used to further enhance, enrich the experience of the user to further understand the information conveyed. If you are familiar with DepEd TV, kinang ginagamit sa atong mga teachers karon sa elementary education under Department of Education, they use animation, di ba? To entertain the students, grade 1 to grade 3 ng mga students, for example. They have to use it for them to be able to capture the attention and because the attention span of these students are shorter, no, than the students under the tertiary education. Video. It is the technology of capturing, recording, processing, transmitting, and reconstructing moving pictures. Video is more towards to realistic image sequence or live recording as in comparison to animation. Kini, nagastorya ko karon, this is actually a recorded video. Question. Now we ask the question, where do we find development communication in multimedia writing? Why is this subject part of your curriculum? Anong naaman ni siya? Anong naamay multimedia, sir? Anong naay multimedia sa DevCom? Nga different man ang type of communication ang DevCom. To answer your question, I would like to give you a very brief review about what development communication is. Development communication, no, to answer and to define, it is an art and science of human communication applied to the speedy transformation of a country and the mass of its people from poverty to dynamic state of economic growth that makes possible greater social equality and the larger fulfillment of the human potential. How is this connected to multimedia materials? We are going to discuss that later in our next succeeding slides. To continue, development communication is a form of communication that focuses on the transformation, take note of a country through its people. It's changing the quality of life directed towards the attainment of greater social equality and larger fulfillment of human potential. No, this type of communication is actually pro-people. No, it's pro-people because it aims to change the quality of life of our target audience. Do not forget, I would like to remind you, please bear in mind the meaning of developmental communication or the meaning of development communication rather. Because as we go along in the making of developmental communication or development communication, we will go back to its definition. Remember, no? Transformation. Remember the keywords transformation for quality, greater quality of life, social equality, and larger fulfillment of the human potential. How is multimedia related to DevCom and how is multimedia helpful, no, in our practice in the future as development communication practitioners? Okay. In our next lesson, in our next modules, hopefully, we will be able to discover different social issues, at the same time, different political issues that surround, no, our environment at the moment. So, here are the following. COVID-19 safety and health protocols, and why is multimedia important, no, sa development communication. Of course, when we create a campaign for COVID-19 safety and health protocols, for example, we need to to utilize multimedia materials. No? We need to create brochures, we need to create mga pamphlets, we need to create videos, we need to create program IDs and advertisements sa radios for us to deliver the message to our target audience, to our community. Students' rights and welfare. These are examples of social issues that you can create. You can actually create for yourselves multimedia materials in relation to your course development communication. LGBT rights, di ba? LGBT rights karon are not only fought sa mga rally-rally lang. Na mga multimedia na mga mechanisms na kailangan gamiton, di ba? So for example karon na ang kadaghanan sa atoa are millennials, kadaghanan sa atoa internet savvy, di ba? Na nasa internet tanan, we need to create videos about LGBT rights for us to be able to deliver the message that LGBT rights are also human rights. No? How will you be able to deliver that to your target audience without multimedia materials? No? HIV awareness, it's the same. Mental health and good governance. All of these guide topics, all of these social issues, can only be campaigned and can only be successfully campaigned by making what? Multimedia materials. If you have questions for our first lesson, this is really very brief for a lesson 1 because I'm just reviewing you what development communication is, what multimedia writing is, and how it is related. At the same time, why is it useful in the practice of development communication. So for our Module 1, Lesson 2, we are going to talk about development communication in contrast to other forms of communication. What are our objectives for this Lesson 2? We will be able to review development communication. We will be able to identify the attributes of development communication. And at the same time, we will be able to differentiate development communication from other forms of communication. So please, once again, I would like to remind you that if you have questions, clarifications, if you have something to say, something to comment, paspas ra kayo ka sir, I cannot understand what you are saying, please leave in the comment section below. And of course, pwede man ninyo mabalik-balik, ako ni siyang i-upload sa atong Facebook group na ara ni diha. Regardless of the time na inyong tanawon, pwede ra kaayo ninyo balikod. To continue, what are the attributes of development communication? Attributes, when we say attributes, what are the characteristics? How do we define development communication? When we say development communication, how do you describe it as a field? And these are the following. Development communication is purposive, number 1. Number 2, it is pragmatic, mass-oriented, scientific and outlook, relevant, and value-laden. And don't worry, I will be discussing these attributes in the next succeeding slides. Development communication is purposive. Why? In creating materials, in creating multimedia materials or DevCom materials, there should be a purpose to what? To serve. There should be a purpose to serve. The purpose here must be associated with the development goal or objective, improvement of the quality of life, or transformation of community and society. Different from the commercials, product commercials that we are seeing in our own respective televisions, development communication materials or multimedia materials for DevCom is different. Because we are creating multimedia materials, we are creating communication materials in order to improve the quality of life and to transform the lives of the community and the society. So there is a specific purpose, unlike from other forms of communication, unlike from mga mere broadcasting lang. No, there is no purpose at all. The only purpose for product commercials is for them to gain more sales. That's the purpose for product commercials. But if you're going to create commercial, if you're going to create a campaign for a DevCom na topic, it aims to what? To serve the community, to change the community and to transform the community. The purpose is always associated with the improvement of the quality of life and always for the greater good. When we say DevCom, it is purposive because the materials that are being created have purpose, and it is a purpose to serve the community, to serve the people. Second, development communication is pragmatic. So when we say pragmatic, it is what? Pragmatic because it is practical in its approach in communication. So objectives, purpose, why are we communicating are the primary consideration in making development communication materials. If objectives can be attained by using a particular communication medium and not spend too much to relay the information. So in here, development communication being pragmatic, we need to, as DevCom practitioners, we need to know our audience. Because if dili lang man din nato kailang atong audience, tas nagpataka ta gamit og medium, then dili nato ma-deliver ang message na gusto nato ipaabot sa ilaha, na gusto nato i-relay sa community nga atong napili. No, for example, internet-based communication, diba? No matter how high-tech, is useless if the audience of our communication campaign do not have access to the internet. No? For example, katong COVID-19 na health and safety protocols, magbuhat mo campaign, tas sa internet nang ninyo gi-upload tanan, wala mo yung mga leaflets na gipanghatag sa gawas, wala mo nag-reach out sa community, o ang inyong community di ay taga-bukid. Diba? Inyong community di ay far-flung areas. What's the point? Ang inyong materials useless. So you need to be pragmatic, you need to be practical in your approach in your campaign in development communication. At the same time, you need to know your audience. Next, development communication is mass-oriented. When we say mass-oriented, what do we mean by this? Audience of material is primarily the masses. The masses, the people, ang sambayanan, no? Ang development communication is of course actually for the people, to help the people, to help the community. Kung kamo siguro aguri nga ano na course, oy, ana, di ba? But no, you have the power to actually use communication, but use communication to change a particular community, no? To change society, to break barriers. Target of development program is primarily the masses. When we talk about development communication, we look at a group of people, group of sector, an entire community whom we want to send or relay the message using the communication materials that we are producing. Diba? When you are starting a campaign, dili pwede wala kay target audience. And we are starting a campaign, particularly a development communication campaign, you have to look at a group of people. Mao ba ni mga friends nato, mga pinalangga nato na bago po tagabawa, yung ana, you're doing a campaign for them, for culture na sensitivity, for example. You have to know your audience. No? You have to have an audience. Rather, moreover, we also need to look at resource mobilization. So how will you able to mobilize? Dili pwede na you're very passionate about things, that you're very optimistic about things, pero dira ra ka kutob. You don't know how to mobilize. You don't know how to work. You don't know how to apply all of those ideas nga nagadagan sa imong utok. It doesn't work like that. In real life, it doesn't work like that. You need to plan, you need to think, and you need to act on your plans. Fourth, wait lang. Bakit? Mass-oriented, scientific and outlook. Anyway, next is relevant. Development communication is relevant because in being relevant, the materials focus on non-traditional topics which are given less attention by mainstream media. Diba kapansin mo ang topics ang topics sa different forms of communication are actually kanang mga artista, usually entertainment, usually for fun and everything, but in DevCom, they're actually talking about social issues here, no? Political issues that surround our community. Development communication practitioners go beyond by just stating facts and stating what is observable. They look into the impact of these topics on the people's quality of life. What we do in development communication is different from other forms of communication because in here, we deal with very relevant topics, very heavy topics. We deal with social issues. We deal with community problems. We deal with the status quo. Next, I have a situation here. So for example, in a construction of a local dam, no, traditional media practitioners will only report about its creation and the other things that are observable. Okay, na local dam. Okay, na gitukod na local dam. Okay, di na gihatag na budget si government. But in contrast, development communication practitioners will report about what? Observable lang po ba? No. Development communication practitioners will report about the impact of the creation of the local dam to the quality of life of the people in the community who are affected by the project. Is it for the greater good? Ang local dam bang nagibutang diha is for the greater good? Is will it benefit the people? No, will it benefit the community living near the local dam? How does it benefit the people living within the area? That is always the primary consideration. The people, the community, their quality of life na atong ginatanaw as development communication practitioners. Next, development communication is value-laden. Why? Because information here becomes valuable. And by being valuable, the values which help improve human potential and quality of lives. Tanan information natong ginagather for a campaign, for example, tanan information natong ginagather for educational campaigns here in development communication is very, very, very useful. Why? Because it has the capacity to change the quality of the people living in the community that we are serving. Yung ana ka powerful, yung ana siya ka useful, yung ana siya ka necessary. So do not ever undermine your cause. Ay dagko mara man na siya kanang komra man na siya komportable, ana di ba? No. The EFCOM has the capacity to actually move the lives of people, to move mountains really, to challenge the status quo, to help people, to help communities. So do not undermine your course. Do not undermine your subjects. So once again, the attributes of development communication are the following. Development communication is purposive. Development communication is pragmatic. Development communication is mass-oriented. It is scientific in outlook, relevant, in value-laden. Okay? I hope that you were able to absorb the some few and important points from our discussion earlier. So to give you an example, Sibol Santa Cruz, I'm actually Santa Cruzan, Santa Cruz Davao del Sur. It's my hometown, and katong pag-graduate na ako o college, pag uli na ako, I decided to go home. Actually, ang akong initial decision was to work in Manila for good. But during summer, I was able to discern things, and I decided to stay to pursue law school here in our hometown. At the same time, to pioneer a non-government organization. This is, I believe, the first accredited and recognized non-government organization, youth-led non-government organization here in our locality. And we are fortunate to be able to establish the organization and to be able to work with a lot of youth members here in our locality. So sa mga mga taga Santa Cruz dira, Santa Cruzans who are my students, I hope that you will also check our organization. We are actually opening for new members by next month. We are still finalizing everything. But anyway, regardless of that, what is Cibol Santa Cruz, Sir Jerry? Cibol Santa Cruz is a non-government organization which aims to cultivate the importance and potential of the Santa Cruzan youth and their contribution to nation building. So what are these nga nasa baba? These are multimedia materials. Cover photo ni siya. This is the official logo and profile photo, and I personally edited all of these along with my creative members in the organization. Next, what do? We empower the youth members here in our locality. We engage with the community. At the same time, we help the community solve the problems that they are experiencing dito mismo at the forefront. For this year, here are the officers, fellow Santa Cruzans ng gihapon. We actually have social media accounts. You can follow us at Cibol Santa Cruz or Cibol Santa Cruz for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we call for donations to help our barangays here for coastal cleanup challenge, etc., etc. Just last year we were able to raise almost 100,000 or 50,000 for COVID donations to help our local frontliners and to help our vulnerable groups in Santa Cruz, Davao del Sur. So these are actually multimedia materials. These are actually development communication materials. Kahibalo ba kabay? This is actually a content that we created to fight fake news, COVID-19 fake news. Kahibalo ba kabay mga duhag impormasyon? O ang 80 proof alcohol sa ilim ng dili epektabo sa mahimong sanitizer. Katuning time nga daghan kaayog mga fake news nga nanggawa sa COVID nga magtuob na lang daw, mag-inom na lang daw og ani, mag-inom na lang daw og beer para maayo, di ba? We fight fake news as development communication practitioners. And kung i-English na mo ni siya, of course dili ni masabtan sa mga audience because most of our audience are coming from Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz na locals. Sa kutob lang ba mi sa internet? No. What dili? Because we were able to distribute leaflets, we were able to make tarpaulins and kanang gibutang namo ang tarpaulins sa matag barangay diri sa among lokalidad. So we're able to reach the audience that we want to target for our campaign and for this humble na initiative by our fellow youth members in Santa Cruz. Kaya balo ba kabay to fight the fake news kini our gitarpaulin namong Cibal Santa Cruz na summary, no, what is COVID-19 summary, what is COVID-19, what are the symptoms, unsa ang buhaton para malikayan ang virus. First month pa ata ni sa COVID yun, mga March pa ni siya, if I remember it right and if my memory serves me right, mga March, April pa ni. Yes, tama, here, March 27, 2020. And at the moment, I am the executive director of the organization, and we are planning to do a lot of things, no, in the future. And by this, I was able to apply the lessons that I've learned in our development communication subject way back college pa ko. So I hope that you are too. No? Once mag-graduate mo, you will go to the grassroots na level. You will help make a change, no, in the communities that you are in, because you are called to become development communication practitioners, and we should be grateful for that. And by it, in relation to this and in line with this, let us practice what we learned from in your case from the SSC to the communities that you are planning to serve in the future. Diba? Pag mag-graduate na mo, malipay ang mga communities, there are a lot of underserved communities waiting for you after graduation. So I hope to see you, no, in the field post-graduation, and I hope to see you very successful development communication practitioners in the future. Support local Pinas. Ano naman po yung support local Pinas, Sir Jerry? So, I along with my friends, co-founded this community. It is a citizen-led movement which aims to empower local products and culture, uplift homegrown talents and business ideas, and boost the local economy. So, it all started from SLP Davao. Makita na ko, this is actually my batchmate sa communication gihapon, BA Communication sa Ateneo de Davao University. We started this initiative. Sa Davao, we have more or less 25,000 members already. Local business owners, local artists na gusto mag-promote sa ilang mga products. Yes, this is me, Director of Internal Affairs. I am assigned to manage the internal relations of the organization, at the same time the internal relations of our respective support local groups, etc., etc. So just last November 15, 2020, di ba na-remember nato nga gibagyo si Luzon, we were able to mobilize a Tulong Luzon relief operation for Luzon typhoon victims. So we were able to gather more or less 100,000 worth of in-kind and cash donations for our brothers and sisters in Luzon. So, ang among gitap-an ni were fellow business owners, fellow young professionals, and fellow local artists, and kanang fellow local supporters. Kato, and I hope na kamo pod post-graduation, you will be able to apply, no, everything that you learn. You will also volunteer to a lot of kanang volunteer works and non-government organizations in the future, and at the same time apply your development communication na degree in your workplace in the future. Ang DevCom dili naman na siya volunteer works. You can work pod, no, sa a lot of government agencies, non-government agencies, private institutions, private firms in the future. So for lesson 1 and 2, once again, those were the lessons included or the topics included under lessons 1 and 2. If you have questions, feel free to comment below. and to message your class leader, si Jason, so that I will be able to address the concerns, the questions by during my next virtual discussion. So for lessons 1 and 2, for lesson and activity, I want you to prepare for your requirement for midterm. Think of a social issue that you would like to solve. Come up, think of a social issue, anything lang yun na masulod sa imong mind. Para sa itong ipakita na ako kaganiha. Students' rights and welfare, LGBT rights, HIV awareness, the COVID-19 health and safety protocols, anything that you are so passionate about na kaya gini mo ipaglaban. Yan na. Come up with a multimedia material and launch a campaign. Okay? Ano pa rin siya, preparation. Do not be too pressured about this. I just want you to prepare. Okay, midterm pa man po ni, pagka midterm pa ni siya. Select a medium and think of ways on how you can carry out the campaign. Diba? Make a draft of your proposal for feedbacking because this will serve as a first step for your requirement. So I will be requiring you to actually requiring you to mobilize a campaign for that particular social issue that you are so passionate about. So make a draft of your proposal for feedbacking. Wala pa tayo final deadline ani. Just prepare yourselves. I just want you to prepare yourselves, and this will serve as a first step for your midterm requirement. Okay? Are we clear? Crystal clear. Okay? Just prepare, no? Think ahead of time of a social issue that you would like to solve because you will be creating a campaign for that particular social issue by midterm, and it will serve as your exam, hopefully. What else? So, end of show. That's actually the end of my lecture for today, and I hope that you were able to gain something from our discussion for this afternoon. Before we leave, gusto unta na ako ipakita sa inyo ang video, pero basin manggod ma-end siya o pinaka-record lang diha ni. Anyway, once again, if you have questions, if you have clarifications, please comment down below. And I want you to comment the things that you have learned. Please comment below the things that you have learned from this lessons 1 and 2. And I will give plus points for those who will comment. I will give additional points and credits for those who will comment their feedbacks from our lessons for today. Again, if you have special cases to concerns, you can message your classmate, Jason, and you can also message me from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. lang, since I also have classes during nighttime and also have to work din sa Office of the Vice Mayor dira sa among locality. So once again, thank you so much for finishing this virtual discussion and this recorded na lecture, and thank you so much for your time. At the same time, I hope that I will be able to conduct a live video lecture by next meeting, but if the circumstance once again will not permit us to do so, I will be uploading video lectures for the benefit of those working students and for the benefit of those who don't have access to a stable internet connection. So maulang to for today. And if ever na may mga questions, once again, feel free and don't hesitate to ask your bidal, to ask me, to comment down below. So I look forward to seeing you next meeting, and I look forward to uploading once again a video lecture for our lessons next meeting. And please keep posted because I will be uploading the final copy of our syllabus for this semester and for this subject. Once again, I am Jerry Luis Urbana, your professor for CDC 123 Introduction to Multimedia Writing. See you next meeting, and Happy Chinese New Year!